the devastating effect that that stuff had on our lives, hopefully. So what are they telling us to do? Continue now to watch for these things. All right, now let's think about this. When are these things likely to occur in your life? Do they only occur at 10 o'clock at night after a long, hard day? Have you ever awakened in the morning and been resentful? Or afraid? Yeah, see that? My experience is any of these four things can be present in me at any given time, and sometimes when I'm dreaming, even when I'm asleep. So if I'm going to watch for these things, when am I going to do that? All the time. So starting in the morning and continuing all day long. That's the direction that I need to do, is to watch for these four things, and I need to do that all the time. I need to be awake. Okay, so obviously then, it's not something that gets done at night after your long, hard day. So continue to watch for these four things: resentment, or selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Everybody's clear about what those are now, having done the preceding parts of the steps? Okay. When these crop up, now when are they likely to crop up? At any given time. So, see, when they do, see, there you are going through your day, doing whatever you're doing. Well, something comes up, boom. All right, now here come the instructions what to do now that you have watched for it and noticed it. See, we ask God when? At once. See. Now that could be, at 6:02 in the morning, it could be at 9:12, it could be at noon, it could be at 2:16. Be at 5:30, could be at 10:45 before you're going to, could be any time during the day. So you need to be aware how long? All day. When it happens, see, immediately deal with it? No, immediately. Who are you going to rely on? Ask God to remove it. So when these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. See, so now asking God is called what? Praying. Now, see, those of you who are familiar with the Bible, you might remember the story of the night that they arrested Jesus. He's out in the garden, okay, with the guys, the apostles. Okay. What did he tell those guys? Watch and pray. So what was he telling them to do? See, we all look at that. Well, keep your eye out for the soldiers. Just tell them to take their inventory on their fear, and their anger about all this. Very clearly, watch and pray. What are we being asked to do? Watch and pray. When? All day, every day. The fundamental spiritual practice that needs to be developed by all of us. If we are really going to rely on God in our life. Is everybody pretty clear that we're not too capable of dealing with our feelings? There are a lot of feelings that surround selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. Drive you nuts, worry, and all that. Okay, so when these crop up, which they may do at any time of any day, including weekends and when the Raiders are on, when you're eating, taking a bath, everything. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. Don't put that off. So we're not there to deal with it. We're literally asking the power of ourselves to remove it. That's the solution. Okay. We discuss them with someone immediately. Now, there may not be anybody around. Okay, so you might need to talk to somebody about this. Some things you don't need to do this with. See, generally we do need to do something with. Okay, and a lot of times, see what I would do things like, let's say I'm having an argument with Dave. Okay, and here I am retaliating an argument, da-da-da-da-da-da. See, and suddenly I'm, oh, there I am, I'm doing that again. So I just I back off the argument. I say a little prayer, and then I disengage from Dave, and I go call Betty, and I discuss it with Betty. Okay, when probably I should have discussed it with Dave immediately. Okay. So I was using people in AA, see, to avoid, being honest with the person I had just gotten into this collision with. Okay. They saying, I was wrong. Okay. I'm not here to be arguing. See, that's not God's will. I'm taking my inventory, so let me just admit where I'm wrong here. Try to be of some service. So we discuss them with someone immediately. And sometimes you can't, it's just not possible to discuss it with whoever you're with. See, and sometimes you're alone. You ever notice these things come up when you're alone? So, there's nobody to discuss it with yourself. Okay, see, so it's just, if you need to talk to somebody, see, by all means do that. Discuss it with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we've done harm. So I don't put that off. I'll make amends to him tomorrow. I can't stand him today, so I'll do it tomorrow. And then I keep putting. You bet. You bet.
You should do it anyway, even though you don't
Well,
need it or you don't
You have to pray for it first, right?
Sure.
And then you get that comment.
You're relying on yourself.
What if you don't get the comment?
Well,
Then it's okay to holler the event.
yeah, then hit him. Then get a guy.
You pray until you get to the right thing to say, right?
Well, this is what you do. See, you say a prayer, see, and nothing happens. So then you look him in the eye and say, "I just said a prayer about you. God didn't answer it, so therefore I'm going to kill you."
So you don't recommend waiting?
No, I recommend acting immediately to do these things. See, and it is hard. It was hard for me to do right at first, see, but I kept doing it. It works.
Because if you caught it, go ahead, Shirley.
Yeah.
What about?
Because if you caught it, and that's the whole point. You caught what you did wrong. You've identified you've done something wrong, so you've caught it, so you've got to do something about it whether you want to or not. Okay.
The whole point is I'm not carrying it.
Yeah, right.
What'd you say?
I'm not carrying it.
Let it
See, one of the
let it
things
fester.
that I did is I got nailed about 6 years ago in a group talking about fear. And I carried a resentment around this guy about this shit forever, and I can remember the topic at the meeting and who was chairing and the whole process. Well, I talked to him last night about it and told him, I've been carrying resentment about this shit. It's like being cut off the traffic. He wasn't even aware of it. But it's all my stuff that I've carried for 5 years. And I really owe him an apology that I couldn't turn loose. And it was real strange. I felt a lot closer to him afterwards. But it helped me see my stuff where I was. It's all me.
Do that a lot. Well, guys, I'm sorry. So much more easy. I do have to pray. That's right. Yeah. And not safe. Let him be out. Kind, tolerant person. I also get tired of that too. I get so tired. Here I go again. I've got to make it much more easier. To say so much more easier to say. So people in the fellowship, my family at home.
stuck, that's probably the only thing you can do.
And then when it's through, then. At the time while I was full of rage and anger, and I felt bad, and I didn't do anything until it was like out and it was gone.
Okay. Who felt that way? What were you relying on?
I felt like I was relying on God, because I didn't feel like it was appropriate if I didn't really mean it.
Well,
And if all I wanted to, I was just so full of anger, it's like I felt that she was wrong. And I was kind of, instead of wearing a sign that says kick me, I know.
I thought she was wrong. I felt angry. Feeling is anger. The thinking is she's wrong. That's your judgment. And so
But then it was verified when I talked to somebody else, she was wrong. And it was inappropriate what she had said to me. And instead of just taking it and being dishonest and said, okay, I just said I'm not going to do it. She was trying to tell me to do something that I didn't feel that I should do, and I was speaking up for myself. But where I finally saw that I was wrong was that I was snapping at her and I was not yelling, but I was angry in my discussion with her, and that was very inappropriate. And that's what I apologized for. But in sharing with her, talking to her, I was snapping at her.
Right.
I was angry. And I suppose that I didn't apologize about our specific discussion because, and that's what's so hard later on down the line when we have this discussion again with other teachers. I have to just pray that God will just show me what to do right now. It's like in His hands, I'm not even going to think about it.
well, see, are you willing to take the directions that you're seeing in the book and use them in these kind of situations? Well, see, specific things there. See, so take what you see in the book and that paragraph that we're going through, see, and go back at your experience and see if you did exactly what they said to do. Doesn't sound like you did.
I prayed about it. I did share it with some people, and I prayed about it some more. But I wasn't, like she said, I wasn't willing to make the amends. I was so angry and angry. I couldn't see past myself. 6 and
That's
7
cool.
is a long way from 10.
You guys becoming more and more apparent.
What's he saying? I can't hear.
That is becoming more and more apparent.
See, the problem that I got, see, in my own experience of doing this thing called when I'm ready, when I feel it's right, see, it's quite often you don't ever get there. See, 6 days later, I'm more right about how wrong they are, see, rather than more correct about where I was incorrect. So that's the danger of putting it off. See, and then you can end up kind of like, I've got some situations like Dave was talking about. You can wander around with stuff for years. Okay, see, and it can eat your lunch. This takes a lot of humility. See, it takes a lot of honesty. It takes a lot of relying on God. It takes a lot of willingness. It takes a lot of stuff.
And if you're not doing this on an ongoing basis, you're just building yourself another 4 step.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're not doing this on an ongoing basis, I can see why people would be doing 4 steps every year.
The other, one of the 3 things you say all the time.
One or the other. Same thing applies to amends. Make your amends or add to them. It's just the way it is. Accumulated spiritual debris, I think everybody's pretty clear about how harmful that stuff can really be.
Just a few minutes ago, we're on this topic. Just went over, that this is not an overnight matter. And you asked the question, as I understood it, housekeeper says that I'm not gonna die. But I hear what you're saying. Life is getting so peaceful. And you're just going really quick. And a lot of people, what else is there to do? So this past week, my sister brought something out. Then I got really angry at her. I was like, God. And I really found that I had work on it. So I feel that take the piece right down and something will come up. I don't know if that's, but that's, I found that after. And I just, so, Nina sort of talks about it, is just the promises that feeling of uselessness and self-pity. We're just doing all the stuff that's talking about this. Signs come more and more stronger. It's just like waves. And then all of a sudden, yeah, that's it. And there too, I'll feel it. Well, thank you for sharing that for me. You're right, I'm all right now. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Okay,
But I
for
know
those of
it's
you
not
who are having trouble, see, with this is bringing up stuff. Okay, see, just remember we are talking about step 10. That's probably a pretty good indication, see, that you're not really ready for this step. See, due to incomplete previous steps somewhere along the line. See, if this is making you squirrely, the discussion of this, see, it's probably because of incompleteness, see, somewhere prior to this. Okay, so just be aware of that. See, remember, we vigorously commence this way of living as we cleaned up the past. Okay, see, so to complete, the previous steps up to this point, see, a lot of the anger and stuff that's still in you, see, will be cleaned up as a result of making unmade amends. See, unmade amends are a real source of anger and pain and all that kind of stuff. See, the only way you can really find that out is to go make them. So, if you're going through life and people can just, see, make a mistake and this rage comes up, see, which makes sense, that's telling you your house ain't clean. Okay, so just be aware of this, but I wouldn't get too weirded out about this at this point. So you got to start asking, where is it that my house isn't clean? Go back and clean up everything up to this point. Does that make sense? You don't beat yourself up about having shit about this. See, it's just an indicator that you're not really ready to be at step 10 at this point. It doesn't hurt you to learn it. See, and you can start to do it, but don't get weirded out. Work on the other steps up to this point. Okay? You're not going to get penalized for that. This is not a race. So you don't have to be caught up with this in pages in the book or any of that kind of stuff. See, that's everybody. So you're going to get your direction from God or you don't. I'm just trying to help people understand it. See, I can't do that. Yeah.
Your boss can give us the 3-step penalty.
Pretty much, there are some old AA kinds of wisdom saying, and one of them is if you're having trouble It'll make sense.
Feeling last week when I left here. That's stuff that came out last week out in the parking lot that I saw.
That's good. All of these steps will do that. They bring up stuff. It's not happy stuff. Happy stuff doesn't get you drunk. The house thing is about unhappy stuff. And every step along the way will do that. That's great. So you learn to dance with it instead of run from it. Once you get over the fear of facing whatever it is that you find in yourself, you have a lot easier time. Somebody else have a question? Okay, so let's go back to the beginning of the instructions here in step 10. So number 1 is continue to watch. So we're going to do that all day, every day. 4 things: selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, when are they likely to crop up? All day, every day. Right? So when they do, see, we ask God, who have we turned our will and our life over to? See, what are we powerless over? This kind of stuff. So when these crop up, we ask God when, not later, at once. See, to do what? To remove it. Okay? We discuss it with someone immediately and make amends quickly. But only if we've harmed anyone. This is part of being honest. See, this is not about being a wimp or a doormat, and, I'm a terrible person. You should see, if you're right about something, see, at work or in a relationship, see, if you're right, you're right. See? But that's no reason to get mad, to yell, to scream, to argue, to retaliate, whatever. See, when you're right, you're right. When you're wrong, you're wrong. See? So when you're wrong, clean it up. When you're right, just be right. That's all you gotta do. You don't have to beat anybody else. Yeah. You don't have to yell. Has anybody in here made the mistake that volume is power? Volume.
You're a witness too.
Yeah, volume isn't power. See? But I always thought it was. See? When volume didn't work, well then physical mass is power. See? When that doesn't work, see, then you got to get some backup here somewhere.
Well, you know what I'm not used to? I'm not
Just be
used to
right.
sticking up for how I feel and expressing an opinion. And I'm noticing that the more I do it, it just comes out in such a way that it's inappropriate. It comes out as angry and lashing out. But it's like I'm learning something that's new, and I'm not quite sure how to do it yet.
Well,
But that's
something that sounds like you really need to look at is, see, you're not free of your anger. See? You're still trying to, do something intellectual on top of being still angry. Okay, see, and that's what you need to look at. See, forget what you're thinking. Go, where is this anger coming from, and why do I still have it all? See, why can people do that? See, if you didn't have it, they couldn't do that. So it's something you need to examine yourself about pretty honestly, because there's no intellectual way to make that go away. And you can learn all this, see, and it's still not going to go away. See, you got to know, see, if the book's right and you still got a lot of anger, it'll get you drunk.
Every day is an eye-opener. I think
So that's something you need direction on or pray about. See, whatever you got to do. See, you're going to face something where you haven't let go of a resentment or, whatever it is you got. See, but you need to find out what it is. Don't play around with it. See, definitely don't run some kind of intellectual deal on it. It's too dangerous.
One of the clues out of my resentment list was my anger was behind my fear. And I think that's what you're talking about when you say that button, that push, that something that triggers my fear.
It can be. There can be different reasons for the buttons. some kind of fear. It could be anger. It could be something else. But if you find yourself, with this thing that keeps happening, see, there's still a problem there. Okay, we make amends when? Quickly, if we have harmed anyone. Okay? And we don't make it if we haven't harmed anyone. Okay, then, and this is still part of step 10, and when do we do this? Immediately. So then we resolutely, the word resolute means with a will. In other words, it has to be your will. We resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can do what? Help. See, when do we do that? Immediately. No matter where you are, at work, at home, cleaning up your house, driving your car, no matter where you are, resolutely turn your thoughts to someone you can help. And take some action on that if you possibly can. Okay, see, and this is all done relying on God. See, and this is all part of how step 10 works. Okay, so you see immediately that as we go along, see, we are imperfect people, right? We're going to have dishonesty, selfishness, resentment, fear, that kind of stuff. See, we're human, it's going to come up. See, so when it does, we ask God to remove it, see, and then what are we seeking to do immediately? To be of service somewhere in our life. See, and we want to do that immediately. Okay, everybody see that? Okay, see, so we're immediately trying to, see, put ourselves in a position of being of service. So, right on the spot, okay, no matter what situation you're in. Okay, so as soon as you see resentment, dishonesty, selfishness, or fear, okay, ask God to remove it. Discuss it if you need to discuss it. Make amends if you hurt anybody in any way. See, and then find a way to be of service to somebody right then. Boom. See, not later, not next day. See, don't wait to write this down. See, boom. Resolutely turn. Could be that person. Sure, I've done that many times. Instead of arguing with them, I just found a way. See, sometimes the best way to be of service to that person is split. Because they'll probably be all pissed off. See, but see, what I've found is that every time I did this, even when I was absolutely alone, there was always some way to be of service. See, as soon as I relied on God, said a prayer about it, see, I could see it. See, it was always there. That's pretty amazing. See, it's much better to be of service in whatever situation than to be yelling and screaming, see, all that kind of stuff. Okay, see, so that's still part of step 10. See, and that's the end of those directions there. See, so let's go over it one more time. See, we haven't seen anything about a written list at night, have we? See, nothing about a written list at night. See, this is an all-day, every-day, clear-cut spiritual practice or discipline that we all need to start to do.
So you don't journal about this stuff?
I don't. I have done some writing, see, but that comes under, see, what most people call step 10 is putting into writing step 11. See, and we'll see that when we get over there. Okay. See, now, as you go along, especially when you're new at working the steps, you're going to find things that you need to inventory on paper. See, that'll for sure happen somewhere along the line. So this doesn't mean don't do that. See, but that is not step 10. See, that's just some continued inventory. This is step 10. See, this is a spiritual practice. And what you'll notice is the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. The better you get out of it, the better results you'll have in your life. It's going to, one of the things Shirley said is you start to recognize immediately, see, that if we don't do something here to change, we're going to spend the rest of our goddamn lives apologizing and making amends, see, and walking backwards, covering up our tracks, see, and doing, see, I mean, you just start to see that's what happened to me immediately when I started doing step 10. Is something's got to change in the way I'm operating here, see, and I'm really going to need to rely on God to do that, see. I'm going to spend the rest of my life walking up to you guys on a daily basis saying, I'm sorry I did it again. See, that gets real clear once you do step 10. It's a very, very instructive step. See, but it only works if you do it. See, so, see, and if you do this, see, are you going to find a lot of assets if you do this? Probably not. No, you're going to see a lot of resentment and dishonesty and selfishness and fear. That's what you'll find. See, that's what we look for. That's what we'll find. Okay, see, so you, well, that's right. See, but you're not going to be in collision. See, and your relationships are certainly going to work a lot better. See, and things that you do at work are certainly going to go a lot smoother. See, if you do this, I mean, see, remember Bill called this common sense becomes uncommon sense. See, this is very common sense stuff. It's not too common that anybody does it, see, but what you'll see just by doing it, and it takes some willingness to start doing it and to keep doing it, is it works. Okay, so I don't by any stretch of the imagination suggest that you put it off. See, it only works when you do it. It's like, you know, cakes only get made when you mix them up and put them in ovens. You can't eat the picture on the box. You can't eat the contents of the box either. Put it all together, then you go. Okay, now let's all read the last sentence in the paragraph together.
Love and tolerance of others is our code.
See, is that your code? See, you got to ask yourself. See, if it isn't, see, I mean, if you say that it is there evidence in your life that love and tolerance of others, see, is your code? See, and if it is, great, and if it isn't, see, then something needs to be done. Don't beat yourself up. It's just things that we need to be honest about. See, it doesn't say emotions, see, and silent scorn, see, and phoniness and hugs are our code. It says that love and tolerance of others is our code. See, now that's pretty different than what a lot of us have been living by. And it certainly is different than what I used to live by. Okay, see, but love in the sense of what they're talking about here, see, doesn't mean romance. See, there's all this stuff that they've talked about, you know, acceptance and tolerance and patience and kindness and all that sort of stuff enters into it. So love and tolerance of others. So those are two more words I'd like you to highlight and look up in the dictionary if you ever get around to doing your homework. The word love and the word tolerance.
We will.
Who told you I wasn't doing my damn?
Okay, see, and that's it on step 10. That's all there is to it. See, now there's more to it in the 12 and 12. Okay, but see, this is the basis of it. And Bill starts out the discussion in the 12 and 12, see, kind of like assuming that we all know this and that we have seen the value of continued inventory that we have discovered. Has anybody ever read that? See, he talks about the enormous rewards or the immense dividends or something, see, that this practice brings. See, and it seems to me he has definitely assumed that we know what we're doing when we're reading that. See, but unfortunately, I really don't know a lot of people in AA who know what they're doing when it comes to step 10. Who are even close to knowing what they're doing. See, this is very simple. This is not complicated at all, but it takes an enormous amount of willingness, see, to actually put it into practice. And because this is so different from getting up in the morning, see, and saying the third step prayer and then roaring off and trying to be selfish safely and hoping that God backs you up. See, this is very different than that. See, this is a definite spiritual practice designed to bring our will into alignment with God's will for us. See? So, see, what you got to notice is that, see, if you're unwilling to do this, there's going to be a price to pay for that unwillingness. See? And the price to pay is what Dave mentioned, is the accumulation of another fourth step. See? And the unfortunate thing is that while most of us accumulate our next fourth step, we get drunk and don't ever make it back to AA. We don't stay sober long enough to really accumulate one. So, this is, once again, it ain't about our assets, but it's about the things that get us drunk. And if we keep our house clean on an ongoing daily basis, we're going to be pretty happy people. We definitely have something to offer to somebody else. once again, it doesn't mean that you're perfect or walk on water, heal the sick, or raise the dead. And that stuff. Okay, why don't we take a break?
Let me see if I got it. Watch, number 1. Pray, number 2. Discuss, 3.
Is our code. It either is or it isn't. Okay, see now. Okay, now, see, for example, have you had the experience since you've been working steps of going into meetings and noticing that you perhaps have resentment, selfishness, dishonesty, or fear going on when you hear a bunch of crap
Yeah,
going on?
that's
See?
a big problem.
So what do you do?
You go tell Michael.
See, what do you do
Yeah,
when
right.
it happens?
You got it. That's right.
You
That's
ask God
exactly right.
wants to remove it. See, discuss it with someone immediately if you can. See, if you've harmed anybody, make amends. See, and say a prayer to be a service. See, right there on the spot. See, that's what you do. Okay, see, there's the solution. See, will that produce love and tolerance? See, as a code. Yeah, see, that will be the result. Okay, see, that will make you much more effective in working with other people.
That's what I've seen you doing, Michael. I was wondering what that was that you were doing.
After a meeting, you mean? Right after
At
a
meetings,
bad meeting?
Yeah, when I first was.
Yeah, that's
when
right.
I first was like, I would have been out there.
I've done my stint, with the flaming sword of truth, and it doesn't work. So. What, about being in a meeting? Okay, you're sitting in a meeting. Okay, see, and what are you watching for?
Poor program.
Selfishness, dishonesty. Right, so you're sitting there in the meeting, listening to people talk. Okay, and at the same time, you're watching yourself. You're taking your own inventory. See, and when that stuff comes up, what do? You ask God at once to remove it. Okay. And resolutely turn your thoughts to how can I be of service. Okay, that's what you do in a meeting. See, it's one of the best ways, see, to take your inventory and to get past that kind of stuff. See, is to go to a lot of meetings and do this.
Good place to practice.
It's a great way to get real good at taking your inventory. It's a great way to improve your ability to listen to other people. See, because what you'll notice is when the stuff is up, you can't hear what they're saying. You can't hear what they're saying, see where they're at. It's hard to be of service to them in any way. Does that make sense? See, so here's the junk. See, remember the 7-step prayer? See, every single defective character stands in the way of me being of service. Okay, here it is. See, boom, right there. See, and here's the solution to it. See, the ongoing daily same thing. See, on how to solve that problem. See, what you'll notice, if you just keep with it, persist with it, you'll get better and better at it, and you'll also notice that the more you do it, the less of that will be there to have to even be inventory. Okay, see, so there's one very practical way to use this. Okay, see, and then see, when you see that you get some results there, see, then how about at work and in your homes, other affairs, all that kind of stuff.
Like a no fishing sign. Instead of analyzing it and letting that whole meeting go on, it's you're trusting on God instead of yourself.
You got it. Okay, see, it's totally no kind of self-reliance here. Absolutely relying on God. Okay, everybody see that? Okay, now pass out these worldly clamor sheets again. Take your worldly clamor sheet and go back to page 13 in Bill's story. First 6 words on the page are worldly clamors, mostly those where? Okay, now see here, we got all the worldly clamors, just not all of them, but certainly a bunch of them, and a lot of the forms that they take. See, and where are they?
Within ourselves.
And see, do you think you could take everything on this sheet, see, and draw 4 columns and write selfishness, resentment, fear, and dishonesty at the top of the columns, and then take everything on this sheet and fit it in one of those columns? so how are these things likely to manifest themselves in your life if you're going to watch for them? Okay? A lot of different ways. Worldly clamors, mostly those within ourselves. Okay? It's not just anger. Okay? Does that make sense to you? Okay, so there's a lot of stuff to look for here. Okay? This is all called it's all something called self-will. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so this is the ongoingness. We have grasped the value of that. Okay, and here's the ongoing how you do it. Okay, it's not dealing with it. See, it's finding a solution to it. Okay, now go back to the doctor's opinion on page 26, XXVI. Okay, up at the top where it says we believe in so suggested a few years ago. Everybody there? XXVI in the doctor's opinion. Okay, everybody there? We believe in so suggested a few years ago. The action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is the manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and it never occurs in the average temperate drinker. So these allergic types, watch the mistake I'm going to make here, can never safely use self-will in any form at all. Once having formed the habit, found they cannot break it, once having lost their self-confidence, their reliance on things human, their problems pile up on and become astonishingly difficult to solve. So here we are. See, we're as powerless over this as we are over anything else. See, so we need a solution to it. See, not a way to deal with it. See, what's the solution? Step 10. Continuing to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear, whatever form it pops up in our life. Why? We can't safely use self-will in any form at all. Does that make sense to you? Okay. So they're just things that you can see in the book that are written to apply to alcohol, but they apply as you get a little deeper into the steps. Okay. Hopefully now, at this point, everybody is beginning to have a sense that the problem with alcohol has been removed from you. Everybody got that? Is that a result that has happened? That doesn't seem to be there as a problem anymore for everybody. So that's one of the main results we were all looking for to begin with. So now we're going to keep that condition by continuing to do these kind of things. Okay, back on page 84. Last paragraph. And we have ceased fighting anything or anyone. Have you?
Almost.
See, that's what you got to ask yourself. See, we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even alcohol. Okay, so we either have or we haven't. It's not just words on a page. It's either true or it's false. If it's false, you need to be taking your inventory about something. Why not? Make sense? Okay, start looking. So go find where the problem is, okay, and begin there. Okay, for by this time, sanity will have returned. So, see, does sanity, see, according to the book, see, has some evidence to it. See, part of the evidence is we've ceased fighting. So we're not out there doing battle with the world and its people and all that. See, it doesn't mean you're a wimp or doormat. See, it's a lot of hard work and a lot of things that have to happen. See, but not a lot of collisions. So that's one part of the evidence of sanity. How about peace of mind, all the promises that are at the top of the page? Is that some evidence of sanity having returned in somebody? See, sanity is working for a desired result. See, it's insane to sit and say, if I leave in 5 minutes, the miracle won't happen. See, to do nothing and wish for different results. See, is that a sane thing to do? To continue doing something that isn't producing results, is that a sane thing to do? No, that's not sane either. See, but these things are very sane because you can see evidence and results in your life. See, hey, this works. See, hey, it's hard. You bet it's hard. Hey, this is difficult. Hey, you bet it is. Hey, this is change. Hey, you bet it is. Okay, but does it work? Does it produce evidence and results, see, that you can grasp and see and be honest about? Okay, this time sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor. If tempted, what happens? We recoil from it as from a hot flame. Anybody have any of those kind of experiences? Show you some evidence going on. See, even Fred, this guy I've been working with, was in a hospital the other day, and I've been just hammering him on you can be a free man. And he didn't believe it. See, but he ended up in a hospital visiting an uncle, and he came over yesterday, and he was saying, I wasn't wondering where their drugs were when I was in that hospital. He was halfway through his fourth step. So he's beginning to see the light. He's going, oh shit.
That recoiling, it came up to shrink back or fear or dislike. Is it a healthy fear? Is that part of that recoiling?
Well, I don't know. I don't have any fear. And I haven't had any fear. Yeah, it's hard to even say that I recoil in my own experience. It's best way I can describe me and alcohol is total disinterest. See, I'm about as interested in drinking alcohol as I am in picking up a cockroach and eating that. I mean, it's there, but it's like it's not a problem. It's like, no big deal.
Drinking gasoline, that's what I was thinking.
So, it's about, it's just ridiculous to think of drinking anymore. It's hard for me to even try to conjure up what it would be like to drink anymore. That's how far off that stuff is. So I don't go, oh God, booze. See, that isn't my experience of what that sentence means. To me, it's just total disinterest. I could be in a room filled with alcohol and drunks and people boogieing and getting naked and all kinds of stuff. I wouldn't want to drink it. It's really weird because I drank a long time. A lot of alcohol. Okay, it says we react sanely and normally. See, and to me that's a sane and normal reaction to something that can kill me. It's no more interest in alcohol than I have in cyanide. I know that they both exist, but I'm not running around in fear of them. So we will find this has happened automatically. So you got to start asking yourself, are the results that you're getting things that you couldn't produce for yourself? See, remember the statement, we have entered the world of the Spirit? See, I keep saying this in some different ways. And here we are walking down this path following these directions. See, and here's this other stuff that we couldn't do for ourselves that it starts happening. See, the problem with alcohol gets removed. Promises start to arrive, solutions start being able to be of service to people. See, a lot less anger, a lot less fear. Okay, we will see that our new attitude toward liquor has been given us. See, by who or by whom, whatever is correct English. See, without any thought or effort on our part. So, see, that blew me away when I read it, see, before it was true. I didn't think that could be true. I thought it was about going to meetings and staying out of slippery places and getting rid of all my friends who drink, see, and all that other stuff. See, but those are all thought and effort on my part. See, and this is saying no thought or effort on my part. See, so is that becoming true in your life? See, a freedom from drinking that doesn't require any thought or effort on your part. See, that's very true about me. Okay, it just comes. That is the miracle of it. So, do you call it a miracle? I do. I'm not too shy about calling that a miracle. It's definitely something I couldn't do for me. We're not fighting it. Neither are we avoiding temptation. So, you got to ask yourself, are you fighting? Are you avoiding? We feel as though we had been placed in a position of neutrality, sort of like Switzerland in World War II. Position of neutrality, safe and protected. Okay, so they're the ones that had all the gold. Safe and protected. We haven't even sworn off. I don't know how you guys feel when you go to meetings these days. See, when I go to meetings, I can see that there are a lot of people there who aren't safe, they aren't protected, who don't know what they're doing. See, and sometimes, it doesn't happen much anymore, but I've had some weird things go on. One of the things that went on is I felt guilty because I wasn't all screwed up like everybody else. I'd get guilty about that. See, like it wasn't fair. See, there's a whole room full of people and they're just totally foobar, and I'm not. It's like it's not fair. See? but I did the work, and here's the results. So you get that. So anybody had that happen? Feel bad because you don't feel bad? Strange stuff. Okay, it's happened to me a lot. Okay, we have not even sworn off. It's true for you? See, swearing off things doesn't solve problems, does it? You ever solved a problem for you? You ever sworn off anything and had it stick? I can't. Right. Okay, instead the problem has been removed. See, so the solution to problems, see, when you apply spiritual principles, is not ever to deal with the problem. It's to get the problem removed. That's the solution. Okay? In other words, stop having your problem. Okay? Quit dealing with problems that go on and on and on. See, that's something people just don't notice. See, psychology doesn't seem to have noticed that yet. Okay? Psychiatry is, to deal with things doesn't solve them. See, so now you got what they call the coping mechanism or the coping skill. See, and now, see, you're just a little more functionally insane than you were before. See, but you still have the problem. See, and in my own experience, does everybody know what skeet shooting is? These little clay jobs that they throw up in the air and you shoot them with a shotgun. See, that's kind of how problems work for me. I would blast them with my self-will. See, and then the problem that was this size and going in that direction, suddenly there are about 600 little problems, see, that are raining down out of the sky as a result of the self-will, blam, see, that I fired at the first problem that I had. Now I got a whole new set of things I got to clean up. See, got any experience with that? See, that's so.
Kind of like throwing a firecracker in fire, right?
Yeah, yeah. See, yeah, it's a good analogy. See, and there's lots of analogies. See, when we apply mental and physical solutions to problems, the problems don't go away. They just maybe change form or divide in half, or they do all this stuff, but they don't get solved. And what the book is telling us is that spiritual principles will solve all of our problems. Okay, see, so whatever you're swearing off of, even when you're sober, stop swearing off. Start taking your inventory. Start relying on God. Go to the source of the problem. Find out if you're powerless over it. Okay, instead the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. See, and wouldn't it be nice if all of us in AA could say that? See, wouldn't it be nice if we could just convince the newcomers, see, that this really is possible? So these two guys I'm working with now, I am just hammering them every day about this. See, trying to get this idea in their head that it is possible. See, that the problem can be disappeared. Both of them have been, in AA for 5 years. Therapy, treatment, see, they don't believe it. They have become convinced by people in AA and the treatment centers and the therapists that you cannot recover from it. You're screwed. Getting them, to open their mind to this, it can be very difficult. And those of you, if you work with people, I'm sure you find the same thing. People don't believe it. Okay? We're neither cocky nor are we afraid. See, have you gone into a meeting and said, I'm a recovered alcoholic yet? See, and have people call you cocky? And you're setting yourself up and you're going to get drunk. See, all that kind of stuff. See, we're neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our what? Theory? Yeah, that's our experience. Is it becoming your experience? See, is it becoming an experience, see, that you can and are willing to transmit, see, to newcomers, see, and to people in AA? And that is how we react, see, not how we think. See, remember, no thought or effort on our part. It's how we react. Well, what's required? Fit spiritual conditions. See, so even people sober a long time who don't keep in fit spiritual conditions, they are susceptible to relapse into alcoholism, see, because they're, they kid themselves about whatever they're kidding themselves about. So you can get off the path, sooner or later it catches up to them.
Or rebel.
Or rebel. Yeah, find something you're not willing to do. You bet. So, and that's what the whole next paragraph is. See, is an ominous warning. See, this is 2 pages of incredible promise. See, with a whole lot of work sandwiched in the middle. See, promises start at page 84. A lot of work at step 10. Incredible promise following that paragraph. An ominous warning. And the first 3 words are, it is easy. Okay, anybody got any
Oh,
experience?
something easy in the program.
Yeah.
Finally.
Boy, that's what I need.
It's about time, right? It is easy to let up on a spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. Okay, how many people got some experience of that? It's really, yeah. I think all of us have found that out, see? And have you noticed that your laurels disappear the instant you try to sit on them? No kidding. I mean, the further I got into the steps and along the path, see, the quicker shit would hit the fan when I got off the path. It really was amazing, and there, for a while at first, I thought that was kind of unfair. I had some new forms of self-pity that came up about that. And I'd start yelling at God sometimes out in the middle of the desert where I was living about how I'm doing all this work and all these other motherfuckers aren't. See? And here I'm getting my butt kicked for taking a day off. Not fair, God. I just yell and scream and do all this kind of stuff. So. You may have that kind of crap arise in your life, and so just go yell and scream. I don't think God really gives a damn. Okay, so it is easy, and it is, see the flip side of that, and you may have noticed this, is it is so easy to get off the path, and sometimes so difficult to get on. Once you're off, have you found that? I mean, it's like I was explaining this to Leroy a couple of months ago. It's kind of like you're going down a hall, see, and you got to get down to the end of the hall. See, and as you're going down to the end of the hall, here's all these open doors. And in each open door is a fantasy, see, of really tempting proportions. See, it could be sex, could be money, could be job, could be fun, could be excitement, could be anything at all. See, and you just kind of like stand there, and you look in there and you go, whoa, that looks really cool. I think I'll just pause a while. Check out. See, and you go in there, see, and then you get in there, and it doesn't quite work out the way you thought it would. See, so you turn around to go back to the hall, but the door you entered in is now gone. See, and now you can't find your way back into. Anybody got any experience of that kind of stuff? See, and you got to learn from those experiences. See, that there are always going to be those things. See, you know that your goal is down here, wherever it is. See, whatever God's will is, whatever step you're on, whatever thing you're trying to get done at the moment spiritually. There's always going to be those doors you can go in. See, and they're always going to do that. See? It's always going to come, that circle kind of thing. You try to get out of it, and the door is gone. See, and now you're like, whoa, see, I don't even know where I am anymore. See? And it always started with getting off the path. So, if you can just try to remember that, and if you find yourself getting spun and lost and all that, see, remember that there's a hallway. See, and where you made the turn off of it. See, whatever you balked at, whatever you wouldn't look at, see, whatever amend you wouldn't make, see, it's always going to start with something like that, some simple thing. See, but once we get into that mess, see, then we start we get these problems piling up, and we're beating the hell out of these problems, and we're talking to people, and we're doing all this stuff. See, we never noticed what else set it in motion was a block. Somewhere, see, walking down the hall. See, go back, find the hallway. See, clean up whatever you didn't do that started the whole deal. See, and that's how you get out of it. Okay, see, so it's just stuff I've learned along the way. See, and it'll happen. I guarantee you, it'll happen too. See, but you can get pretty lost in it. See, you may have some experience of that already. See, of getting really losing your way.
Are some of the signs on those doors best, and I'm better now, and look what I can do?
You bet. You bet.
False humility.
Yes. Rewards for major spiritual growth.
Yeah.
This way.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe a Scotch wheel
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
on the door.
Stephen,
Sure.
did you read
I'm
Stephen?
sure this is God's will.
Yeah. I'm real glad you brought that up. I mean, it'll say 12-step work on the door sometimes. Service.
Oh.
See? It'll say a lot of, see? You go, yeah, right on. Okay. So, the signs will even look spiritual in many cases. Remember, we're still in the process of cleaning the house here. Okay, all of this stuff. Okay, see, and grasping some spiritual principles. And we're not going to have enough time to get into step 11, so we'll just finish these 2 paragraphs. But see, all of this stuff. See, step 10. See, we have kind of grasped what inventory and amends are all about. See, but now it's like raised to a new level. See, of spiritual discipline. See, anybody have a negative reaction to the word discipline? I mean, does discipline equate to punishment in your mind? See, it always did to me. I didn't understand. So there's another word you got to look up in the dictionary. See, it means to follow a path. See, a disciple is one who follows a path voluntarily. See, and discipline is that. See, it has nothing to do with punishment. See, but in the family I was raised in, and the schools and all that, see, discipline meant you got your ass beat. See, for something. See, that's not what this is. See, these things are all very disciplined practices that are very clear cut. And you'll find that after doing it for a while and getting good at it, see, number 1, you'll like the results. And number 2, see, you'll become a much more effective human being in everything you do because you will have some discipline that you never thought was possible. In terms of concentration, persistence, stick-to-itiveness, see, there are a lot of results that it's kind of hard to talk about. The book doesn't even mention them. See, except just in passing, so that come as a result of grasping this stuff and then doing it.
Would another word be maturity?
Well, yeah, in a lot of ways. See, you mature. It's hard to be mature and be childish. Okay, see, and if you're operating on resentment and dishonesty and fear and selfishness and stuff, that's pretty childish. Okay, see, and if you found a solution to it, I think it'd be pretty clear that you could say that you have matured. Okay, a lot of people in AA, they don't mature, but they do ripen. See? Yeah, you can usually smell things that are really ripe. Okay, so it's easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on laurels. Everybody clear about that? See, we're headed for trouble if we do. Really true. And just here, so you should hark back. Hark back to page 58. It says, remember that we deal with alcohol, right down at the bottom, the last line on page 58. Always remember that. It's not anything that anybody needs to be afraid of. See, but it shouldn't be forgotten either. See, I don't run around afraid of atomic bombs, but, I'm aware of atomic bombs. And I don't run around afraid of traffic in streets, but I'm very aware of traffic in streets. I just have a respect for stuff that's dangerous in the world. See, and in the same sense, I remember that I'm dealing with alcohol, see, my own and other people's. And it says, see, we are headed for trouble. See, if we do, we think we've gone far enough, and whatever the door says, as Dave was saying. See, for alcohol, it is a subtle foe, and it's a lot less likely that you'll get drunk following the death of a relative or a family member, see, or the loss of a job, see, or some whatever the top 10 stress-producing. You ever seen those lists? Divorce, marriage, See, it's a lot less likely that any alcoholic will drink over any of that stuff. See, then walk in the door one hot day and a thought will cross the mind. See, in a perfectly wonderful day when they just got paid, see, and the thought will say, well, have a beer. See, that kind of beginning is a lot more likely for someone who has been sober a while, see, than anything else. See, alcohol is a subtle foe. Kind of baffling and powerful. It's really true. See, you're never going to get over the need to have a spiritual defense. That's why they made it so clear. It's how we react. But we got to have a spiritual defense, as long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. Now, if you all know some other way to keep in fit spiritual condition, by all means do that. If you're not planning to do this, find some other way to do it. If this is not making any sense to you. Okay, we are not cured of alcoholism. See, what we really have is a daily reprieve that is, here's repeated again, contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Okay, now are y'all clear enough, see, about the hopeless state in mind and body, and how you can recover from that and not be cured of alcoholism, such that you can explain it to a newcomer? Is everybody clear on it? See, why, in the front of the book says we have recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body. Here they say we're not cured of alcoholism. See, but it's not contradictory. Everybody understand the disease and the powerlessness and the recovery well enough to explain it? Great. Okay. If you don't, see, ask me or ask somebody who does, see, so that you're clear, see, because it's very vital that you be able to explain this to newcomers, because every newcomer doesn't understand it. And see, that question is very often the door by which you can begin to get them into the doctor's opinion, see, and start to work with them and help them to investigate and understand. So it's one of the most common doorways into being of service to other people. See, so get it down, be clear. Okay, now it says every day is a day when we, what's the next word? Must carry the vision of God's will into where? So what's the last part, step 12? Practice these principles in all our affairs. Okay, and that's a pretty big must. Okay, so all you got to do is ask yourself, see, up to this point in your life, or up until the time you started working the steps, whose vision of whose will went into all your activities? See if you can, like quantify, see how much today is the vision of your will running your activities, and not God's will. Every day is a day when we must. See? And see if we're unable or incapable or just unwilling to do that, see, then we're not in fit spiritual condition. See? That puts us in danger of a relapse, because that is the maintenance, see, of a spiritual condition. Okay, everybody see that? Why that's a must? Okay. So here is the 10th step prayer. Okay, and this one you don't hear a whole lot. You do hear it sometimes. It says, "How can I best serve Thee? See, Thy will, not mine, be done." Okay, see, and that's a real good prayer to say right at the end of following the directions there. Where it's talking about we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Because, you may have been in a situation where you're sitting there yelling at somebody or hating them or whatever you're doing. See, so you watch for that and you catch it, and boom, you ask God to remove it. See, so now, see, there's your will. See, now what do you need to know? What's God's will? Because this that I've just been doing is not God's will. Pretty clear. So, Thy will be done. See, not mine. Why not mine? That can get me drunk, harm people, set all kinds of stuff in motion. No, it's really the 10th step prayer. Okay, these are thoughts which, what's the next word? Yeah, see, so there's a must and a constantly in there. Now, what are thoughts that must go with this constantly? Yeah. How can I best serve Thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. When? All day, every day. Okay, see, everybody catching on to that? See that this is, this isn't a morning thing. It's not a night thing. It's not a meeting thing. It's how somebody literally. See, you see the impact that this will have in turning your will and your life over to God. Yeah.
It's a way of life.
Yeah, literally. You got it.
Will through higher power.
Okay. And it says we can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. See? So what do we see? We're not asking God. See, our self-will, our free will, never gets removed from us. See? We are simply given a method by which we can bring our will in alignment with God's will for us and do that. See? And that has to be our choice. See, that's what willingness is all about. You can't do this with a gun to your head. So you've got to be willing, you've got to want to do it. Because if you don't want to do it, you won't do it. That's pretty clear for all of us. Okay, so we can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It's the proper use of the will. Whose? Proper use of whose will? Our will. All right. See, God's will isn't something I use. See, my will is something I give. Okay? See, most of us, especially when we're new, so we have these kind of biblical concepts of God. See, the God of Abraham. See, I want to go blow down the walls of Jericho, because I got a resentment against the Jerichoans. See, so I pray to God to back me up on this. See, so I want fire and brimstone coming out of heaven, and I want the walls to shake, and see, all that kind of stuff. See, because I'm right, and God is going to back me up in being right. See, now that's my will. See, and trying to use God's will to make my will come true. Is that? You see that? Okay. See, and that ain't going to work. See, I need to find out what God's will is. See, and then put my will in alignment with that. See, regardless of what I want. Okay, so does that sound like there may be some self-sacrifice in that for you? So work and self-sacrifice for others? So you might not get your own way. See, that might not be God's will. See, you may think you're right, but that might not be God's will. See, there might be times when that would occur. See, yeah, that could be, grit your teeth, see, and do something you don't really want to do. That's happened to me a lot. Okay, so, see, some of those are easy, and some of them are tough. See, and see, the tougher ones are the ones where you learn the most. So, see, it's just whenever you remember that, whenever you're not willing, so you're probably going to turn left into one of these doorways off the hall. So you don't have to look at something. So just remember, there's a hall. Okay, everybody understand that? That's pretty ominous warning. Okay, pretty clear-cut directions, pretty ominous warning. Alcohol's a subtle foe. Okay, now we'll go through one more paragraph, which leads us right up to step 11. So much has already been said about receiving, not directing, not self-generating, not manufacturing, but about receiving, for accepting spiritual help. What form? Strength, inspiration, and direction. Okay, see, so, it's just something to look at. See, where have you gone most of your life for strength? See, your inspiration, and your direction. See, you relied on other people for strength. You used your education, your intellect, your self-will, your confidence, self-esteem, your ambition, your talent. See, where have you gone? See, for your strength. See, have people and books and things like that inspired you? Well, as a result of that. Okay, see, human stuff again. And direction. See, and I've been pretty much self-directed all my life. See, some of us go around, we get in relationships where we get direction from other people. See, but look, see, we want these three things. See, if you have, see, literally, see, if you have an experience in your life of a higher power, see, which will produce those three things in your life, see, as well as the removal of the obsession to drink alcohol or to do drugs, would you be a free human being? See, if you could always find those three things, see, within yourself, coming from a higher power. Is that amazing or what? See, you would be free. See, totally. If no matter where you went or what you did, these three things were available to you, and you didn't have an obsession to drink alcohol or do drugs, you would be totally free. No matter what the situation, no matter what the circumstances, no matter who was involved, where, when, or how, you would have to be totally free. It's incredible. Strength, inspiration, and direction. Whoa! It's pretty powerful stuff. If we work for them. Not a freebie. Okay, strength, inspiration, and direction, not from our sponsors, not from AA people, not from books, not from psychotherapists, from what? From who? From him who has all knowledge and power. So, see, I became pretty clear early on that that's what I wanted. I wanted to get my strength and my inspiration and my direction, see, from God. That's really possible. That's where I want to go. I definitely need it. I'd rather not get it from Joseph if I can get it from God. I definitely don't want to get it from me because I already know what my strength, inspiration, and direction can achieve in this world. Okay, see, so you got to ask yourself. I mean, is it literally available to you? See, to do that? See, I was raised in a religion that told me that things like this are absolutely impossible. See, that there are about 17 layers of intermediaries between me and God. Some of them are human and some of them are spiritual. See, but direct, conscious contact, See, to receive this kind of spiritual help directly, see, from God, not possible. See, but the book is telling me it is possible. See, it kind of blew me away. See, and I had to examine some old ideas I had about all this. See, about all these levels of intermediate, people doing things for me that I couldn't do for myself. Here's a pretty clear-cut statement. See, you might just ask yourself, what does that mean in your life if it's true? Whoa. See, set you free. Liberation. Okay. All right, if we have carefully followed what? Directions. See how that word popped up again? Carefully followed. Well, how many steps have we been directed in now? 10. We have carefully followed directions. We have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. Remember, we have entered the world of the Spirit. Some of us, have got, more spiritual stuff going on at this point than others. So it doesn't really make any difference as long as you're carefully following directions and you're being honest with yourself. And to some extent, we have become God conscious. And that's why I keep asking, look at the evidence in your life. Don't kid yourself, be honest. See, if you got no evidence, then you probably need to back up. Okay, so don't beat yourself up about that. Just do it. See, do whatever it takes to get where you need to be. Okay, so to some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital what? Sixth sense. What does vital mean? Remember? Yeah. Sixth sense. We have? Says who? Now, how often do you hear people talk about the necessity in Alcoholics Anonymous of developing a vital sixth sense? You ever heard that be the topic of a meeting?
Never heard that before.
See, what does it say? What does vital sixth sense mean? So, to some extent, we've become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense. So everybody knows what your 5 senses are. Okay, so sixth sense, has to do with intuition or inspiration. Okay, so there was a promise over here on top page 84, about intuitively knowing how to handle situations. See, so it's sort of like, that's like Little League. See over there on page 84. Okay, see, so there you are playing Little League at that point, okay? And now it needs to be developed. You got to practice, and you got to take infield, and you got to do hitting, and you got to do all that kind of stuff. See, because you want to play for the Yankees when they call. Okay, and so this new thing needs to be developed. See, it's an embryonic kind of a deal. It's spiritual in nature. See, and in all of us, it needs to be developed. See, and these steps, especially 10 and 11, as described in the book, are expressly designed to do that. We're trying to accomplish something in terms of our own spiritual growth. And it has to do with developing this vital sixth sense. Okay, see, so this isn't, what is commonly called feminine intuition. Okay? And a lot of guys in AA think that intuition is some kind of feminine trait and they don't want anything to do with it. Okay, see, but all of us, need to develop this vital sixth sense. Okay? And that's, part of why the directions are here, precisely why they need to be followed. See, we're not trying to accomplish something that's spiritually voodoo here. See, this is a reality, and it needs to be done. So next week we're going to go through all the prayer and meditation stuff to see what they have to say about that. See, and how this is supposed to become a working part of your mind. See, and when it's a working part of your mind, it is a part of being sane. And having an ability to tell the true from the false in your life about a lot of things, especially dealings with other people, and especially being service to other alcoholics. So it's a very important thing if you want to be of service and to grow spiritually and all that. This is not something that can be poo-pooed. I can't even talk about this in AA meetings because everybody, fuck, guru, God. Joe, spiritual moonwalking kind of guy. See? People are really intolerant and ignorant about this. See, but it's a reality. See, so as you go between this week and next, you might start to just think about that a little bit. See, is it a reality? See, and is it something that really is necessary to your spiritual growth? Okay, see, because that's really what we're going to be talking about next week in step 11. Okay, now the last sentence in that paragraph says we must, see, notice a lot of musts appeared all of a sudden here. Saying all about the maintenance and growth of this must, God's will. So we must go further, and that means more what? Action. Okay, so is step 10 pretty clearly to you now an action step? Understand that? Okay, step 11 is also an action step. Okay, so we started with step 5 in this chapter, so we're now up through step 10. We're going to get to step 11, also action steps. So more action next week. Okay, we'll stop there.
How far are you going to go on the second half study? Up to what page?
164. Okay, 59, step 11, because that's what we're going to be going over here in chapter 6. Step 11, let's look at the words. It says sought. Okay, so there is continued seeking at the 11th step. Okay, so one of the problems in AA today is that people make step 11 step 1 and call it good. I pray and I meditate, and I go to meetings, and therefore I have a program. Well, that's not what we're talking about here. See, so this is step 11. So we're continuing now to seek. Where are we seeking? That's what we're seeking. Where are we? Inside. Yes, inside. See, so 2 ways. Number 1 is prayer. Okay. Number 2 is meditation. To improve. So in order to improve something, it has to exist. You can't improve something that doesn't exist. Remember the term establish and maintain from page 14 of Bill's story? The 4 things that were essential to bring that about and then to maintain it. So we're seeking now to improve our conscious contact with God. Is there a difference between consciousness of the presence of God and belief in God? Sure seems so to me. To improve whatever conscious contact we have now established, see, with God as we understand Him. Okay, so our understanding ought to be somewhat different at this point than it was when we started. See, simply based on the results of what's going on. So, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him. Praying only. What does only mean?
One.
Yes, solely. Solely. For 2 things. So now we are definitely narrowing down the focus of things at step 11. See? Praying only for knowledge of His will for us. See, why is that? We know what our will is. Don't we? Everybody pretty clear on, see, what your will is in any given day? Yeah. All right, so we need knowledge of His will for us, see, which is something we don't have, okay, and the power to carry that out. See, so we're looking for 2 things. Now, when do we do this? Yeah, so what we're going to find in the discussion in step 6 is this is an all-day, everyday deal, just like step 10 was an all-day, everyday deal. See, but it's real hard to do this if you're not doing the 10th step. Because you're not going to have an awareness of your will, which is manifesting itself in the 4 things we talked about last Tuesday, being selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. See? And then they told us to do what? Pray about those things for the removal of them when? Immediately. See? When were they going to come up? All day, every day. Okay. So here, see, what we're praying for is a knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out.
Kind of praise Him.
Not really. I think that, let's let the book answer that. Okay. Okay, so everybody see the terms? All right, so I put a couple of questions up on the board called what is knowledge? See, and what is power? See, and what does only mean? And these are things that you might want to look up in the dictionary one more time. See, and start to examine yourself. See, none of us sitting here are stupid. None of us have been stupid all our life. We know a lot of things, see, about a lot of things. See, but what is knowledge? And what is power? And what does only mean? page 85 now. Go down to the second to last paragraph where we left off. We're going to go over this one more time. Much has already been said about receiving. Remember, we are trying to get, to accept spiritual help here. So much has already been said about receiving those three things: strength, inspiration, and direction, from God. And we talked a lot about if you really had access to the strength, inspiration, and direction of God in all your affairs, wouldn't you necessarily have to be a free human being at that point? So you would have what everybody else is looking for, from self-esteem and self-confidence and independence, and all those self things that everybody's into, you can have by doing this. That's this really weird thing. And if you've ever read the 12 and 12, Bill talks a lot, not a lot, but in step 3, he talks about how the more dependent we become on God, the more independent we actually are. And we're not dependent on other people's contributions and flatteries and agreements and all that sort of stuff. The more independent you actually become, the more you're willing to depend on God. Independent. Not out-dependent, which is where we all are. So we're all running around being out-dependent and paying a price for it, getting in collision and all that sort of stuff. So this reduces things to some very simple ideas, which are very powerful. And if you've been, kind of a rebel and a defiant, that in your life, this will definitely enhance that for you. This is great. This doesn't mean that you run around and go, fuck you to everybody. But, you're just not, if you remember the 6 words at the end of the amend step, where they said we should be sensible and tactful and all that without being servile or scraping. When the more independent you become, the less servile and scraping you got to do in life. The less humiliation you suffer, the less tail between the legs, the fewer amends you got to go clean up. All that sort of stuff. It's really pretty cool. So, what we're really talking about now is beginning to stride through that arch we built. In steps 1 through 5.